Axe likes this very much.
Welcome to
Coffee with Toffees.
Let's do this!
Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Toffees. Guys, it's glad to have you here. It is actually Thursday evening, but we're going to be airing this Wednesday morning. So to those of you listening on the podcast and on the drive to work or at the gym, good morning. To the rest of you, good evening. We're glad that you could join us for this special episode. Now, some of you might know, if you reach the podcast normally, last night we did an episode 2. Well, that was because I was behind, so that was Wednesday's episode, and that one blew a little bit out of control. There was about 2.5 hours of content, and we covered all of the news. So today, there's not a lot of news to cover, but that's exciting, because what it means is we get to spend more time with our guests today, and I have 3 special guests in the studio joining me for this particular episode. These are guests that we've never had before. In fact, we've never had anybody like these guests before. They represent a cross-section of the Dota community that I myself am wildly unfamiliar with. So to introduce them, first we have Fwosh. How are you doing this evening?
Doing great.
Is that how you say it, Fwosh, or is it Fwosh?
It's actually Fwosh, but I go by Fwoshy on Twitter since the Fwosh was taken.
My apologies, Fwosh. And then we've got Reinessa. How are you this evening?
I am doing pretty well, thanks.
And last but not least, we've got Ashnichrist. Is it Christ or Christ?
Christ.
Ashnichrist.
Yeah, that's the one.
All right, that's the one. How are you doing this evening?
I'm great. How are you?
I can't complain. I am doing a Dota show, and that's what I really love doing. So that's what we're gonna have a good time with. Now, you 3 are cosplayers, and that is something that this is generally a pro scene tournament news show, if that makes sense. However, we've seen a cross-section of cosplayers become more and more a part, especially in the Dota community, of things like tournaments, features, rewards for stretch goals. So Ashley actually approached me and said, hey, as this has sort of grown within the scene, do you think this would make a good show? And I said, absolutely, I think it would. And I was glad that we could get the group from the BTS VIP cosplay to come out here and chat with me on the show a little bit. So before we start talking about cosplay specifically, we do have to cover the news. And there's one piece of news. It's the tournament stuff that you need to know for the weekend. And all you have to know is the DAC European qualifiers are in full swing. Alliance has since moved to the losers bracket as they lost to Power Rangers, which caught me completely off guard. Hellraisers has been playing like demons, and Na'Vi, hasn't been doing so great, and that has been a little bit depressing, I think, for a lot of us to see. Virtus Pro, also a big surprise, as they got knocked out 2-0 against the Hellraisers, and I don't know that a lot of us expected that. So do you guys have any opinions about any of those games, or did you get a chance to watch any of those today?
I caught the initial Alliance Tinker game, that set of 3. So I really saw Alliance on point. I was really surprised by the Power Rangers loss as well, which I sort of caught the end of. I mean, it seemed like Alliance was doing really well and kind of getting back to their rat roots a little. So I was upset that they got knocked down. But, I mean, we'll have to see how they do out of the losers bracket from there.
Yeah, maybe this will be the fire that lights under them and gets them inspired to come out again swinging. But an interesting downward slide for the heroes of Dota from yesteryear. Alliance making a comeback. They looked really good in their first game against Tinker. A little bit of a mix-up in the second one, but actually Loda posted and said, hey, that last loss was completely my fault. And I thought that was a pretty brave thing to do. I will say this about Alliance. No matter how they perform, I am always impressed by their managers and their players' tweets. They're always mature, they're always straightforward, and they've always been impressive to me. So way to keep your maturity about you, boys. And that's it for that's literally it. That's it for tournament news. DAC has sort of been everything right now, and it's been quite a controversy. If you want to hear more about controversy, go watch the podcast from yesterday. We have 2 hours with the C9 and EG managers as we talk with also Gerg, Skim, the lead writer for Gozu, and Gorgon the Wonder Cow, one of the lead writers for Join Dota. So that made a pretty crazy show. That said, there go.
Check it. Podcast.
Did you enjoy it? I was worried it was a bit too crazy.
No, I loved it. It was hilarious. I had a great time. What was it? Oh no, I have to.
You selfie taking potato.
Charlie said.
You potato head
Thank
selfie.
you. Yeah. Hashtag selfie taking potato head. Yeah.
That was pretty phenomenal.
That
So
trended the most. Everyone, please.
everyone wants professionalism until it comes to insults, and then all bets are off, and that's
Yeah.
the name of the game. But let's talk about cosplay because that's why we pulled the show tonight. We're gonna, I want to learn about it. So what we're doing is we're going to approach this thing from the stance of someone who really doesn't know a lot about the cosplay. A lot of my fans, a lot of the folks who listen to the show, probably don't get to see a lot of this. In fact, I'll bet that what they know about cosplay is limited to stretch goals on streamers late at night. So we're gonna dispel some myths, we're gonna solidify some truths, and we're gonna learn a little about what makes these people tick and just how much work goes into a good cosplay versus the the Shadow Shaman cosplay that was made up on the spot sort of thing. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tick through pictures throughout the process. These ladies you guys were all at BTS, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So it was Fwosh was the Legion commander, and then Reinessa did the Lena. And then Ashley, you did the Kunkka, right? Which was fun. Nice. And I think Reinessa, you were the Crystal Maiden who spent some time at TI with literally every single person there.
Yeah,
Picture-wise.
she did Lena and CM at TI, and
Okay.
Fwosh did LC, and then I did Drow at TI, and then Kunkka and Invoker during the summit.
Okay. So you guys have between the three of you, let me ask this first. How individually, Ashni, how many costumes, how many cosplays do you have in, say, your closet? If I were to ask you to go to an event right now, how many could you pull?
Oh God. I mean, if the Stitch Kigurumi counts. No, probably, I think like 5. I think I have like 5 Dota cosplays
Wow.
right now. I have Kunkka, I have Invoker, I have Drow, and then I have 3 that I'm working on for TI5. And I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I'm missing one, but Reinessa actually has a ton too.
Yeah,
So-
I have
She's done a lot.
yeah, well I've got Windrunner, Lena, CM, and TA. And
Okay.
then I'm almost done with Quap and Marana. So, and then I also have cosplays for other things. So, different villains and TV characters and stuff. So,
These are generally multi-community spanning. So do all of you cosplay for multiple things or just specific? How does that sort of work?
So, my non-Dota ones are usually by request and people pestering me, and I get in a creative mood, and they're usually a lot easier than Dota cosplayers because being a animated character as opposed to a real person, the animated character, the people who are actually making them can be a lot more creative. Real people still have normal faces and skin color.
Right.
So doing a cosplay outside of Dota is usually pretty easy.
Yeah.
So I did Marjorie Tyrell from Game of Thrones, and it was like a day of sewing as opposed to the 2 months that Crystal Maiden took.
Right.
It took 2 months to make that Crystal Maiden costume.
Yeah, it was it wasn't like I was working on it constantly. That's one of the things that people, when they ask how long a cosplay takes, it's usually really hard to tell someone because you can't work on it all at once. It's overwhelming and you need time to sort of come up with new ways to make something work. So it was 2 months of on and off, and the most intense time was watching TI qualifiers while making a cosplay for TI. I think we all did that.
Yeah, that was really hard actually, but it was really cool to be working on something and then also have like what you're working on in the background as your background noise. I know whenever I work on something, I have either like a show going or like music going, something to really get me in the mood. So especially when I'm working on Dota costumes, I'll specifically like watch Dota just because it gets you pumped up, you know?
It's
It gets you going.
inspirational.
Yeah.
Get you
Yeah.
inspired.
It's inspirational. You're like, oh man, that first blood. Oh, I'm gonna sew this so good.
So, Fwosh, do you have a lot of costumes? How many do you have? in
At the moment, let's see. It's kind of just veered toward Dota cosplays now, but in the past I did some anime ones, or that's at least what I started with. I think I'd have about 4 to 5 in my closet right about now. So
Nice. So you're all very experienced in making these cosplays. let's talk a little bit about how one starts. Like, I know that I've never woken up and said, what should I do today? I'm going to dress up like Invoker. So what moved you to having that thought, and then putting, I mean, that Legion Commander costume, Fwosh, is, I mean, I am not a seamstress. I've worked in theater all my life, so I have a rough idea of how many hours each stitch takes. But that looks like some pretty intense molding. Like, that had to have taken a while.
Elsie was so good, dude.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was kind of over a course of, I think, 3 months, and it's made out of a lot of stuff like craft foam, Warbla, which is kind of thermoplastic. So, yeah, it was a learning experience for me as well, since it was my first time working with that kind of material. But I guess, I mean, the inspiration to just getting into cosplay it's kind of like the ultimate tribute to something you love. You know, it's like you're just having this creative outlet to express just this game or this passion that you really want to share with everyone. So I'd say that's my reason behind it. But
Yeah. It's kind of an awesome way to merge like two different things that you really enjoy, like crafting, working with your hands, being creative, and then you also get to merge it with being super nerdy. And like Dota, of course. A couple of us have done anime as well, and we could do like comic books. I mean, we can really take this medium and do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could go professional level with it if we wanted to. It's something that is just really fun to do. And then you spend all this time working on something. Like with my Drow Ranger, I think I put a month straight of working like 15 hours a day on this costume, and it was ridiculous. And I went to TI, and just having positive feedback on something that I had worked so hard on was just really fulfilling. And I think that's a really good feeling to have whenever people actually recognize like the work that you do is important.
Yeah,
or at least it looks cool.
The thing I loved about TI is that people go in groups and you don't necessarily meet new people. A lot of people are really shy. It's an internet game, but you go in cosplay and instantly you meet everyone. I mean, it's like this. The barrier is broken. It's super easy to talk to people, and it was amazing. And I'm a figure skater turned scientist who needs some kind of creative outlet.
You're a very specific type of person.
Yeah, I would
sure.
go crazy if I didn't have some kind of crafting going on, because I've been sewing since I was 3, and being in grad school sort of took it away a little bit, and cosplaying is that outlet I have outside of lab that really lets me sort of embrace it again.
That's awesome. So I did pull up the Drow picture since folks in Twitch chat were asking for it. So the picture with Toby. I can search
Fwosh
anything.
In that too.
Yeah, it worked out. I found a good picture.
So, you won the duel.
I got the winner thing. First, it didn't click initially. And then I was like, oh, that makes sense. But okay, so that's how you kind of got into it. Now, let me ask you this. I would not say that I'm a cosplayer. I would say that I have put... My wife and I should say, have put a lot of work into a Daenerys Targaryen, Jon Snow costume that we use every Halloween, and really enjoyed dressing up for that event. Is that was that your impetus moment? Did you guys start this as a excuse to wear it at Halloween, or was this I'm going to make it, and I'm going to go to TI, and I'm going to look damn good?
I'm going to make it. I'm going to go to TI. And it's going to be awesome. Yeah. That was mine.
Yeah, I think... I don't know. I don't really know how I got it. I think I watched Heroes of Cosplay, which was like Jessica Nigri, Monica, like a few of those girls that are just like extremely outrageously popular for it. And I was like, why have I never done this? Why have I never combined these two mediums that I've just enjoyed like my entire life? And this like light bulb went off in my brain, because I've been a seamstress for oh my god, like over 10 years. So all of a sudden I was like, oh, I've been wasting so much time not doing what I would have really enjoyed. So I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go hard.
Nice. So the seamstress aspect was easy for you, because you had already been doing it. Reinessa and Fwosh, did you have to learn to sew for this, or were you already pretty into that sort of sewing crafting sort of deal?
Figure skating dresses are thousands of dollars. So I learned to sew very early and bedazzle everything.
Bedazzle.
Yes, I'm very good with bedazzling. And my mom sewed as well. So I actually learned like quilting and practical sewing when I was really little. And then I started designing and sewing a lot of my own clothes when I was in high school. And then I had a job and could buy whatever clothes I want. And that's sort of when I moved into costuming.
Nice. Fwosh?
I actually don't know how to sew very well at all. So a lot of what I do is just kind of like armor. So it's all like molding and crafting. I do like to draw a lot. So kind of just making these physical like art pieces is what cosplay is also to me. So it was kind of like an easy transition to go from one to the other.
Makes sense. So in regards to molding and crafting, somebody over on Reddit, it was Dote.orb, brought this up. He brought up the Rubik cosplay at TI4. Did you guys have a chance to meet that person? Or see the cosplay we're talking about?
Yeah, the Rubik. He was actually with the Bloodseeker. It was like a femme Bloodseeker. I think they were dating. I'm not really sure, but she worked for a 3D printing place, and she like ended up working with some other guys in the department and printed out her the little weapons that Bloodseeker runs around with, and then the mask for Rubik. So it was really cool. I was super jealous. I thought it was pretty interesting.
So, as cosplayers, is that something that you guys think, hey, if you've got the resources, use it. It doesn't matter. Or is that something where you're sort of like, well, that seems like an easy way out to design the costume? I mean, at the end of the day, that mask, they put a key into a computer, printed out, and then painted it. Sort of like you go and buy a model car at the store.
I don't know. I guess it depends on the person. Like, some people want to go au natural with it, but personally, I think that the more professional that you can make it, the better. Like, I really liked seeing they had fine edges, like all the lines were like, it was gorgeous. I thought it was amazing, and it really took that like professionalism of their costumes to the next level. So I actually had a lot of respect for them doing that, even though it might seem like the easy way out. It's not really, because not everyone can afford like a $2,000 3D printer to just print whatever they want on.
Rubik also special ordered the purple fabric that was a tiny little bit of trim on his costume. He paid over $100 for like half a yard, just so that it was the perfect exact matching color and texture.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say he probably didn't take the easy way out.
Yeah.
I do admit, people who buy their costume, like they literally just send a picture to someone and that someone makes it for them, I might judge that like a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think cosplay is all about being creative.
Right.
And doing like taking your skills and turning it into this cosplay, your appreciation of the game and everything. So having access to a 3D printer, you still have to make the design, you still have to paint it, you still have to come up with the rest of the costume. I mean, the dedication that they had was insane.
I personally hate seeing people they'll order a costume on Amazon and be like, oh, my Beer Maiden cosplay for tonight. I'm like, you ordered it. It's a costume. It's completely different whether you're like, you buy a Halloween costume versus like you're cosplaying somebody. It's two totally different mediums. It's two totally different things. Like, there is a lot more passion and work that goes into cosplaying versus goes into just buying a freaking costume off the internet. Could I have bought Invoker? Yes, I could have. Did I? No, because I wanted to give a shit.
You can just buy an Invoker. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But so to you guys, the difference between a cosplayer and someone in costume is not only how much they love the scene, but the work they put into the costume itself.
Yeah, their ability to be creative, to put their own touch on it.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
As
cheesy as it sounds.
No, it's a good point, because I always wondered if I bought a really good costume online and then showed up in character and spent the whole day acting like Witch Doctor, would that qualify as me as a cosplayer or just a really dedicated actor in costume?
Oh man, that's a really good question. Okay, so I think, I mean, if you really enjoyed it, if you really liked being in costume and hanging out. Like, you don't have to really portray the character. Personally, I don't think if you're gonna like cosplay and wear the don the outfit of your hero of choice. But I think it's really cool if you're at least supportive of that art form. I definitely think that you could be considered a cosplayer, even if you've only done one. Even if it's just for fun, even if you're not trying to be super professional about it, you don't have to go all out. You don't have to be that Rubik or that Bloodseeker at TI. You don't have to have a $4,000 like
Right.
3D printer to be a cosplayer.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
It's all
I
about
definitely wouldn't be one.
it's all about creativity and passion in some aspect. So someone in chat said, what would you suggest for folks who want to do cosplay but don't have the skill to make it?
Absolutely.
And I mean, if you look at Fwosh, okay, she doesn't know how to sew, but she learned how to make armor and work with craft foam and everything
Yeah.
as an alternate way. Or if you look at, there was an amazing witch doctor at TI3 who did the rocking around and everything. And I don't actually remember what his cosplay really looked like. But
I
say
do.
you had someone who just put on a purple morph suit and like walked around and did the stance all day. Well, you know what? His creativity there is the personality. It's maybe not necessarily the cosplay itself. So, I mean, you can go either way, and it's all about what you bring to it and your attitude. It's not about like looking amazing. Looking amazing is great, but it's about what you're trying to do with it. And as long as you bring a piece of yourself to it, I think that's what counts it as cosplay.
Yeah.
I like that. That makes sense. So let's we'll go back to some of the Reddit questions we have. There was a fun comment where I posted that I had the BTS cosplay crew coming, and somebody went, "Oh, you've got Gods and Coddle Guy," and I laughed pretty hard at that one.
Yeah, I saw that.
But here's a good one. Pegwins asked this, and you'll have to explain to me what he means, perhaps by this verbiage. Is there a line between cosplay and fan service? And I don't know what fan service is.
Okay, so fan service, like, traditionally is something that comes from, personally at least, I've seen this coming from, like, the anime perspective. It's very sexually suggestive, kind of a little explicit. There's lots of low-cut tops and little shorts and, like, little upskirt.
It's like a Hugh
flashes,
Jackman
like-
movie where he takes his shirt off to wash his hands.
Yes.
That is
The
fan
girl
service.
side of it, for sure.
Or
That's
for
our
those of
fan
us who are
service.
nerdy, the Star Wars scene when Natalie Portman had her shirt ripped off for no particular
There you
reason.
go.
Yeah,
And I spent the
that-
whole movie.
That is
Yep,
fan
fan
Definitely
service.
also my fan service.
Okay.
That's, like, yeah, so there's probably a difference between both, but I don't. Man, this is.
Is
this
there
just
a
so-
problem with the two being vaguely associated? I mean, I guess that's the
They're
real question.
obviously associated. I mean,
Right,
look at how. Okay, one, it's mostly females who cosplay. There are some guys who do it. Rafi, obviously. But I mean, look at how the characters are animated, and if you're choosing to dress up like that, you're kind of bringing this typical video game female to life.
Mhm.
And that's sort of what tends to happen, but it's more about how you play it. So some
Right.
people do it and do the strategic lean over and you know other things, and then some people are just there to have fun and they're not going. The fan service bit is how you act with it. You're going to look that way no matter what, because that is the nature of what the characters look like.
Mhm.
But how you act when you're actually in cosplay kind of differentiates it a little bit. But I don't think it's too much of a problem to associate them, because I mean, let's be honest. That's just what they look like.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. I mean, it's to a certain extent. Now there's, you can go beyond that to some very prominent fan service, I guess we should say, cosplayers who go the whole 9 yards with model shoots and airbrush and all the fashion magazine type of thing. And the other side of the coin is streamers and stretch goals. So let me ask you about this. When you see a streamer, and I know that all three of you stream and you have big fan bases, and in fact, I've watched the stream because I appreciate the way that you guys do it. When you see some of the more famous, I guess the best way to say it, cam girls or late night streamers who have these stretch goals of cosplays that look like they were just sort of thrown together, does that offend you, or does it say, hey, at least they're trying to expand the view of cosplay?
Gosh, it's a little bit of
Yes.
both, I think. Like, it's cool that they really enjoy that, but I almost feel like it's kind of a way for them to get a little bit of attention, as it kind of sounds a little shitty, but
Yeah,
I feel like it's not something that they are really like putting their time into. It's not something they're investing a lot of like effort or like emotion or anything else into. They're just doing it because they've seen other people stream and get,
Right.
a bunch of viewers from cosplaying, and they're like, oh, this is something I can do to, oops, show my boobs or what,
Right.
like, I don't know.
I think
They use
think
it as a way to appear like visually. I don't know. I
Well, I think
feel
the
like
most
it's kind of a cop out.
I think the most famous one, or the one that stuck out the most in my head, is I think there was one who was a stretch goal cosplay, and somebody said that the only way you got to see the costume was if somebody subbed to the channel. And obviously that seems like it spits in the face of what cosplay is, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe I know what one you're talking about, and it was if someone subbed, she would stand up and twirl, and if someone donated over a certain amount, she would lean over and blow a kiss. And
What?
There was,
Oh no!
there
I bet
was
I know
about
who that
3,000
is.
viewers. One of them being Arteezy, for which I will hold it against him for forever.
That's horrible.
Yeah,
Is
it
that the-
was. That was. I remember. And she was doing the cosplay that I was actively working on myself. And I remember being so mad, and I stopped working on it and switched to another one. And I was like, no, I'm done. I can't. I just can't.
Yeah. I mean, I can respect people putting a lot of time and effort into that, but when they use it like in that way, and then it's not really, if they use it in like a sexual way just to kind of like show themselves off, then it kind of gets a little annoying. Because I wanna be able to go up to that person and be like, hey, oh my gosh, this character from the game, let's talk about it. Let's, you're cosplaying Crystal Maiden. Let's talk about, like Frostbite, which is awesome, or her ulti, which the range is and the damage is freaking ridiculous now. How cool is that? And she's like, I guess. I'm like, oh
Right.
jeez. Oh god.
Oh no.
Okay, I feel weird. I'm gonna like failfish and just run off now.
Well, that's actually something. The summit chose to invite cosplayers that they knew streamed that, Andrew Zyori had actually spoken to, because when you're at a viewing party with a bunch of fans, they wanted people who could actually talk about Dota, because it had been discussed, having people in cosplay that they just hired to be there to sort of, take pictures with and as an extra event. And they all realized, this won't work, because Dota fans, I mean, yeah, attractive girls are nice and all, but they care about Dota at the end of the day. So that was one of the reasons that we went to the summit, was because...
And let me expound on that. So we had Zyori was actually on the show to talk a little bit about the summit and some of his other background prior to you guys traveling out there. And I asked him about the cosplayer aspect of things, because Zyori's known for being involved with the cosplay community. He tried to draw a lot of light to it early on in his casting career. And then he said that the whole reason, like you said, that they brought you out was because the sponsors wanted to have, what do we call them again?
They wanted
Booth
models.
girls.
They wanted
Booth
booth
babes.
babes.
Booth
That's what it
babes.
was.
That's what they're
They
called.
wanted booth babes, and
Now,
that's just
Do they
that
dress?
was really
Do they dress
cool.
up booth babes, or do they just send people in like underpants? Like, I don't understand how that
I mean,
necessarily
it's-
works.
It would
I
have
don't
been, take our cosplays and take a few layers off.
yeah.
So
It's kind of, they're like models. I mean, it's something a lot if you go to conventions. They're just people that don't necessarily know about the game, but they look good, so they draw a lot of attention to whichever sponsor that is trying to garner the attention that those girls are getting. So it's not, I mean, it's the name of the game, it's the business, that's the way it is, whatever. But it's really, I actually was like super impressed that they had this meeting, and the G2A, I think it was the G2A sponsor, I don't know, one of the sponsors was like, let's get some models, let's get you guys some hot girls in here, let's get the, and they were like, nah, we're not really about that, let's get some cosplayers. And then eventually they kind of warmed that sponsor up to the idea, and they were able to get all of us. And I know initially I think they were looking for people around the LA area, but they actually got to the point where they included like us in their budget, so they were able to fly all of us out and provide for us that pretty much that entire time. So that was really cool, and I saw that as like a really big step up for
Right.
the community,
The whole-
being able
yeah.
to like, I mean the cosplay scene in Dota is not really huge. It's not as big as a lot of other games are. So it's cool that they kind of took that step. They took that initiative to begin it. I mean,
So
that was awesome.
yeah, and I was curious how you guys felt about that. So that's exciting to see. I really liked when he said that, because I really
Yeah.
appreciated that they focused on keeping it within the scene. Now, you guys, I watched a lot of Summit, and I feel like we never actually even saw a cosplay showcase on the stream.
No.
Yeah.
They had a lot of I mean, mainly the stream and the video, everything was going on at the actual house, but we were at the viewing party, which was at a bar, like I think it was within about 5 mile distance away from the house. So what would happen was, sorry, I'm a little sick, so I sound kind of weird, but what would happen is we would wake up, we'd get changed, we'd meet Zaori in the lobby, or Rob, who is at Ice Element on Twitter, just another driver. They would drive us over to the event. We get started, we get set up, and we would just arrive there in costume. And that's what we would do all day. All day. It was just hang out with everybody in the bar. We would go around handing out like G2A cards, talking to the fans. Like it was a really cool experience. It was fun to.
So you were brought in with the understanding that you were going to hand out marketing materials and chat people up.
Right.
And take pictures. So they had a backdrop with the sponsor names on it and everything, and then anybody at the viewing party would come up and take pictures with us and everything. So
yeah,
that was a nice. I mean, you can see it in some of the pictures that you have, the G2A.
Oh, yeah.
One of the sponsors
in the background.
One of the sponsors was basically like, well, we just want the viewing party to look cool.
Right.
That's all we want. We want you guys
it's
to
a
be
fair
like
aspect,
tweeting and like
Yeah.
hashtagging G2A. I was like, all right, dude. Yeah, we could do this. I mean, I can try to make it look cool for you.
So how was that? I mean, so let's talk a little bit about backgrounds maybe outside of cosplay, because and then we can talk about how difficult or not difficult it was to do an event like this. And now I know, Reinessa, you said you were a dancer, and now you're a scientist.
Yeah, so I'm a biochem grad student. Yeah, so classes every morning, and seminars, working in lab, research, studying, etc. That's my life.
Nice. All right. My wife has a master's in molecular biology, so I understand completely. What about Fwosh? We haven't heard too much from you. What do you do outside of cosplaying?
So right now I'm working as a developer at an ad agency. So all those ads you see online, I help make those. And let's see. Yeah, I draw, I make Dota 2 parodies. And yeah.
Okay. And Ashley?
Like, what do I do outside of
Yeah,
cosplaying?
I mean, if it's sleeping and streaming, that's fine. We won't judge.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Well, okay, I'm a massage therapist, so
Gotcha.
The income to amount of work ratio that I do is pretty good.
Nice. So you all have real life jobs. You do things and then go home and work on a costume or play some Dota. Are all three of you pretty active streamers?
Yeah, I would say so.
Starting to be.
I've seen a lot within the past
Ash is
while.
very active.
Oh, stop it.
My internet usage is actually capped. They're testing it out in my area, nowhere else in the entire country, just here. So I actually had to cut down how much I stream so that I don't use my cap, which is really frustrating.
Wait,
so
what country do you live in?
Dang.
The U.S.
That's rough.
Like, this is awful. When I move, so my lease is for a year. When I move, I am only moving to places that have a different ISP.
Wow, I would break. I mean, I feel bad for you. I cannot believe that. So you've got your own struggle going on right now. Do you find it difficult to have your jobs, hold a consistent stream schedule, and be working on your hobby, which is putting these things together? And I assume you do other things besides just Dota-related hobbies.
It is kind of hard whenever you get really invested into a costume. It's a lot. It's a very big time investment, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, whenever I was working before the summit, I was working, gosh, like 12 to about 12-hour days every day, I think, and I just felt really bad. I had a few people come up to me like, "Why aren't you streaming? What are you doing? Where have you been?" But I was like, guys, I have 2 weeks. I gotta bust these out. I got two pretty intricate, semi-intricate. They weren't really that bad costumes to get out there. But yeah, it's actually a lot more. It's a lot more time intensive than people really expect, I think. So from my perspective, it's hard for me to juggle that versus my streaming schedule, which is also really intensive. So it can be a lot.
But
And I know, like, if I had like a typical 9 to 5 job, oh my freaking gosh, I don't know how I would do it. I don't know how you do it, Reinessa. And Fwosh. Oh my God, you guys are on another level. You're so great.
making ads, pipetting, and cutting material at the same time.
Seriously, for real. Gosh,
So-
I could imagine.
So as you've grown in the Dota 2 cosplay scene, and I think that most of you have gotten to the point where I would assume that among the Dota cosplayers, you're well known. And probably have you started to see like representation branching out to other groups of cosplayers? I know that when you do things like when I make a Dota 2 morning show and I get contacted by other people who make similar styles of shows. Is it something where you've been contacted by other game cosplayers or other groups and you've considered branching out, or is Dota life?
Dota is life.
I mean,
Dota is life.
Dota is love. Dota is life, for sure. I would definitely say it's the number one thing that I'm working towards right now. But there's a really big group of cosplayers in my area that have kind of reached out to me and tried to get into like making videos or whatever. Like we do music videos and stuff from time to time, but
And
Did you say
there's
music
people
videos?
who want to. Oh, sorry.
what,
No.
Fwosh?
Go ahead, Fwosh.
I was just saying, yeah, there's people who also want to get into cosplay who reach out all the time too, just kind of asking how certain parts get made or just a general advice. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like great just seeing like the cosplay community grow in general, not just for Dota, but people who want to just express themselves. It's a lot of fun.
I've
So-
definitely had people come into the stream and be like, "Hey, you want to make this costume for me?" And I'm like, "No. Do you want to hook me up with like a couple hundred, maybe $1,000? Because that's you don't
I
even
believe
know."
the God cosplay was about $500.
Well, and by
Yeah.
your definition of cosplay, that would sort of defeat the purpose if you made it for them
Yeah,
in the
that's
first
true.
place.
That's true.
Now, is there a YouTube site or is there a Purge's guide to cosplay, for lack of a better way to define
Oh my
it?
God, there should be. I've been thinking
There's
about this for the
millions.
longest time. That should definitely be a thing. We need to make like an official like Dota cosplay group and get on
That
that. I
would-
think.
I try to take pictures while I'm making it because I have friends who are very interested in how I'm putting it together. So over the summer, I took pictures of Crystal Maiden every step of the way because I had
Wow.
this friend who he was just obsessed. It was his favorite hero. He was so excited. I mean, he's one of the reasons I picked Crystal Maiden. So I mean, it would be cool to post and be like, "Oh, this is how I did this part, and these are the materials I used for this." Like Fwosh, everyone would love seeing how you did.
Yeah, for sure.
Legion,
Yeah.
like because
Oh,
that
gosh.
was insane. We all know it. It
We
was
all know
amazing,
it.
and I'm sure it was so much work. So, and I've been looking up for trying to do QWOP. I mean, it's very challenging.
Oh, it is
And
really hard.
So
Believe
I've been
us,
looking
man.
up all kinds of armor tutorials, and I actually wrapped myself up in
Saran wrap.
yes,
I
yes.
have done that as well.
Oh my God.
Why? What? I don't understand. Were you saving
So-
yourself for later?
So it's a great way to actually get a mold of your body size.
Oh my God, that's so golden.
Interesting. And you just like cut
I
it
love
off?
how we don't know what.
I personally
was
taken the
talking-
duct tape approach, but to
I
each
did
their own.
saran wrap and then.
If you
duct
guys
tape
want to
on
save yourselves and put yourselves in the fridge, I mean,
Wouldn't-
you could go for
Wouldn't
it.
that hurt? Wouldn't duct tape hurt?
It was a little painful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that seems
No,
terrible.
I did
Well, you put
saran
it. You
wrap.
actually put it with a shirt on, and then you like cut the shirt. You use an old shirt, so. But you can get it stuck on the skin, and it's not very good feeling. It's not a very happy time
I
for
would
good old
imagine.
Ashnichrist.
It's pretty rare that I shake my head during these interviews, but that I'm shaking my head towards. SMDH. I think that's how the kids say it.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You're cool
Sorry.
now.
Hey, I'm trying to. Old guys got to learn these acronyms. So,
Yeah.
as we talked about a little bit of what you've done, where you've gotten to, I think we can all agree that your cosplays have been exceptional in terms of what we see at events. I mean, I've seen some pretty terrible stuff, seen some pretty amazing stuff, and you guys are right up there. Have you considered opening a YouTube channel or a WordPress or something to create resources for up-and-coming Dota or any cosplayers who are interested in joining the scene?
I definitely think that's something that we need to get together and talk about. We all, during the summit, kind of got together and talked about a few things that we were thinking about doing, specifically a Wisp cosplay, although that flame was a little stolen.
Shane O'Mad, gotcha.
Shane, oh my
Oh,
goodness.
Shane, why?
It's okay. We'll just
The
get a whole
nightmares.
group of us to dress up as
Nightmares.
Wisp and just mob him.
Yeah, we should definitely.
So really, the ultimate Wisp cosplay though would be if you did it with a couple of your friends and they just ran in circles around you the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. That would be great.
And
Or
just crash into people.
Yep.
Someone could cosplay as a tiny and just it would be super silly.
It would be very silly, especially when he starts throwing other cosplayers around. You need somebody very large.
I
So
would love it.
there might be a market for that. Guys, if that's a market that you're interested in, if you're interested in seeing these ladies put something together, I would love to see you tweet at them. If you are listening on the podcast or on Dota FM or anywhere else, you can find Fwosh at Fwoshy. It's FWOSHY. You can find Reinessa at Reinessa Dota. That's REINESSA Dota. And you can find Ashni at Ashni, ASHNI, Christ, just like the child. And you can tweet them, let them know that you're interested, because that's the easiest way to help them start making content. I think the hardest part, and I'm sure cosplay is probably the same, the hardest part of making content is the first step, and that first stitch is probably the part that gets you, is the hardest to do.
It's really hard to break into something and start networking with people for sure. That's probably one of the biggest things coming into it, because you can have friends or you can have like people that watch you stream, but if there's not really anyone that's going to help you out, then you're kind of like at a loss. You're like, oh, I have so many ideas, but no one wants to help me. And that's kind of the point that I'm at right now. Like, I have so many things that I want to do, but I don't really know who to reach out to. So,
Well, what happened with us, I mean, is we all met Ziori at TI, and that's how
Yeah.
he really knew how to contact us. He followed us all on Twitter and kept in contact with us, and that was a huge opportunity, I think, for everyone.
Yeah.
Was
more
that
we
just
do,
because we
right?
met him at TI and he was doing cosplay interviews,
Right.
he had our information, knew us, knew that we would be good for the event he was trying to put together, and so I mean that was a huge networking contact point.
Right.
So
right. TI is
yeah.
way too great for networking. Oh my god! And now there's 6 days of it.
Well, and I mean, I can tell you that
Oh,
outright. If you're interested in doing anything community based in the world of esports, you got to go to networking events. In the same way, God, I keep trying to adjust my tie with my X split, and it doesn't work because it's backwards. In the world of anything, like I've managed and owned businesses, and you have to go to the Chamber of Commerce meetings. TI is like our Chamber of Commerce meeting. So get involved there, ask questions. Now let's ask some of the more difficult cosplay questions. The ones that I'm curious about, that I want to see kind of also give you a chance to maybe address fans and people who will see you at these events. First and foremost, I want to know, does it get creepy? And
Yeah.
and can you tell us some?
Toby.
Really?
It wasn't creepy. He was hugging my leg,
No,
and
I'm
it
just
wasn't
kidding. He's all right.
creepy.
No, he's all right. He's all right. He's cool.
I mean, he actually. So I told this story. Ash and Fwosh know this, but I waited in line to talk to Toby, and I was dressed as CM, and I went up to him, and I asked, I would love to get a picture with you, and he of course freaked out, which was very amusing. We took a normal picture, just standing up, normal picture. And there's this huge line of people in front of us, and it was the entrance to Key Arena. So there was that overhead part as well, that like balcony bit. And he goes, "Oh wait, we have to take a proper picture." And he bends down instantly and just bear hugs my leg.
That's the Toffee cosplay.
Everyone starts cracking
That's
up,
the
pulls
one.
out their phones. I mean, but it wasn't creepy at all. It was funny. It was cute. I mean, his appreciation for it is pretty entertaining.
So that's, as far as personalities, I'm going to assume they're generally not creepy, mostly because of the fact that if they did get truly creepy, it would take one tweet to wreak havoc upon them.
Right.
As for the average convention goer, do you have messages to give them? Have you had some stories that you want to share where it's just like, this isn't okay, or this is exactly how you should interact with me?
There are people at normal conventions, which I haven't really been to myself, but I have a lot of friends that have told me stories of going to a convention dressed up as something, and they'll get groped. They'll just out of nowhere, just somebody will. And there was this big deal of a guy running around at Comic-Con, and he was filming himself, and he was supposedly doing interviews with cosplayers, but he would go up to them, ask them a question, and out of nowhere just like grope them. And he ended up getting like restraining orders, like some kind of legal like action taken against him, because he was just super out of line, and that's extremely inappropriate. If you're gonna do that, that's weird. If you're gonna come up to me and be like, "Dude, your costume is awesome," even if it's a little out there, because I mean, like Reinessa said earlier, they're female game characters, like they're gonna be a little weird sometimes. That's respectable. Even if like it's, you can give me a compliment, that's okay. But whenever you come up to me and you start acting a little awkward, and I don't know, that's whenever I draw the line. If it's in a sweet way, it's okay. Awkward, not okay.
I loved it. I mean, getting to meet all those people. If you want to come take a picture, if you just want to come and talk, I mean, I would have people just in the stands while we were watching games, climb over seats and just come down and sit and ask how I made it and what I did. I only had one bad experience, and that was someone who, I don't even know why he was there. I don't even think he played Dota. He was just drinking a lot of beer, and he was like 400 pounds and was leering. Not cool, but that's not typical.
Was it not cool because he was doing a 400-pound leer, or because he was leering in general?
If he was a tiny person leering, I mean, not cool, but I don't mind because he's tiny, so I can push him.
Wait, what is a leer again?
just that like creepy grin, and they're looking down your shirt, and they're just like too close to you, and it's just that's the leer. Yeah. But I mean, other than that,
there's actually
Dota fans, they appreciate that you are cosplaying and bringing a piece of the game to life. So the actual Dota fans, none of them were creepy. They were all amazing.
What I was gonna say is like at TI is completely different from like what I've heard of traditional conventions. Like going to TI is like a totally awesome experience because everyone is super nice. Like I didn't even really have time to watch the games because I had so many people that were just like constantly just walking down the hall. Can I have your picture? Oh, can I have your picture? Can I have your picture, please?
I mean, we put hours and months into these. Like, we want people to come up and ask us for a picture. Fwosh wants people to duel her. I mean, that's what she does.
Yeah, she does.
Nice.
If you ignore us because you're too nervous to talk to us, it's like we failed.
So did you see a lot of that? Did you see a lot of people who walked by that you think they wanted to say hi or that they wanted to get a picture and they were just nervous?
I'd look at them and I'd say, "Do you want to take a picture?"
Nice.
I would just grab them and be like, "Hi, how's it going?" Because you can tell, or they do a few pass-bys. I mean, they look interested. There was even a few people at the summit who were I remember there was this one girl who was really, really shy, but she really wanted to get into cosplaying and didn't know how to do it. So her boyfriend actually kept coming and asking questions, and eventually I just walked over and sat down with her and talked through some stuff and everything. So I mean, you can tell. Don't be shy, people. We wouldn't dress up like that if we didn't want to meet new people.
Makes sense. I mean, that makes perfect sense. And I think that that's in our community, there are a lot of folks who have difficulty speaking with people, I think, sometimes. So it's a good opportunity to get out there, meet someone new. And it sounds like the general cosplay group is, hey, come hang out. On the opposite side of the coin, you've had the leering, you've had the pictures. You've had those who don't want to talk to you because they're scared of you. Have you had negative experiences with like offhanded comments or treatment outside of that, if that makes sense, or judgment?
Do you mean like outside of like the TI aspect of things?
Either way, whether
coming
it's
from a streaming perspective, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because over the
my
internet
God, yes.
with anonymity, people are horrible.
Even yeah, okay, yeah.
But
even
I mean, so
some people in chat like.
Let's split the topic though. Let's leave Twitch for a second from now. Let's say Twitter and places where you actually have to maybe have a little more of a face or representation, or even, and I've seen this before because I've worked in a lot of different industries, walking down the street and having somebody walk by and say something under their breath for whatever reason. Have you had any experiences like that, or generally face-to-face and in identified internet situations, are people pretty open and understanding?
I've been pretty lucky. Most people are understanding, especially if it's in person, you're kind of doing this for fun, and I think they realize that, nothing too negative.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose it's just when it's online, like being anonymous just lets you have this kind of wall to say whatever you want.
I don't really get embarrassed easily,
Yeah.
so if someone in real life gives me like weird looks, I'm just like, all right, dude, what's up? Like, hey, I'll like give them the eyebrow or something, Like, but I don't like over the internet's like completely. So it's a different demon. I don't know. You kind of have to learn how to deal with the trolls. I think that's a huge thing that comes with streaming.
Let's talk about the trolls a little bit. For those of you who don't know, the person who was just talking is Ashley. The person who spoke before that was Fwosh. And Reinessa apparently went over her data limit and has been disconnected from the call. So
oh no!
Hopefully she jumps back in at some point.
Oh my goodness!
No, she probably has.
So that's funny. But let's talk a little bit about this streaming thing that you guys do. Fwosh, you're getting into it a little bit. Ash, I know that you've been doing it for a while. Probably, I think it's like 4 to 6 months now. You've been pretty consistent. Is that about the right estimate?
Yeah, I went full-time streaming at the end of September, I think. So yeah, about like 3 or 4 months, and that's only full-time. Like I've sporadically streamed here and there. I mean, for a while, maybe a year and a half or so.
So then let me ask you guys this. Obviously, we know that you get trolled. Did you get trolled significantly more at the beginning of your streaming phase? Has it just stayed consistent throughout? And what can a streamer who wants to just be supportive and not bait the trolls, how can they show you support without making it worse, I guess is the way to say it?
People definitely have a desire to pick on someone when they see them just starting out, I think, or whenever they like don't have a ton of viewers. Suddenly they're like, oh, she's an easy target. I'm gonna go ahead and try to embarrass her. They're just a bunch of sadists. A lot of them, they just are. And at first you're like, oh shit, this person really hates me, and then you kind of learn how to deal with it, and then you realize that you have to laugh at it because you're always gonna get it. You're gonna get to the point where you have them whenever you have 10 viewers, and you're gonna get to the point where you have them when you have 1,000 viewers. Like it's just that's the way it is. That's the way Twitch is.
Okay. Now, as your viewers, like, so you've got pretty consistent viewership. You've got maybe mods who are there regularly. What do they do that helps make it easier to deal with, or is it just you've just got to put up a shell and deal with it all on your own?
Mods help a lot for sure. I mean, I would say like my mods are awesome. Anytime that someone comes in and I'm just like, dude, they're being annoying, ban them. Or sometimes I don't even have to say that. They'll just get them out, or they'll say, hey, respect the lady. These are her rules. I don't know. They're really cool. It's definitely helpful to have a fan base. And the thing that I've learned is you can kind of control like what people expect of you. So if you have a chat that is a little bit toxic, which some people can run it that way, and that's totally fine. But if you have a chat that's a little bit toxic, then people are going to expect to go to your chat and be toxic. That's what they're expecting. So if you have a chat that people come in and they're like, they see someone saying something negative about you, and then you have people backing you up, like, don't say that. She's, whatever, just kind of defending you, then it's, I don't know, it's a lot easier for people to respect you. And you can run it whichever way you want to run it. If you want people trash talking you, whatever. If you want people talking good things about you, whatever. You can totally control it. It's just like what you tell your viewers and what you like communicate to your viewers, like what your expectations are. So
makes sense. So let's we've been going for a little while. Hey, look who came back.
She's back.
I know. My power decided to die for a little bit. But,
oh no.
We thought you ran over your limit.
Yeah, we thought your net was going out, dude. You gotta be careful.
So we're getting ready to wrap this up. And I wanna, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you feel like the uneducated, the non-cosplay community, those of us who just sort of see you from a distance, what should we know about what you guys do?
Oh man.
Or do we cover it all?
I think just the extent to which we love it and that it's showing our appreciation for Dota. It's not, I mean, we love to dress up, but we're choosing to dress up as Dota characters because we want to share that with the community.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. So basically, I mean, you guys are essentially, would you call yourself super fans?
Yes.
I would say so, yeah.
For sure.
So
Love the game.
You're the kind of people who stand in line at the secret shop and get the plushies.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Absolutely.
That's good.
I was brokenhearted. I stood in line and I couldn't get freaking anything. It was like the second day of TI and I went like before noon. It was crap. I was so mad.
Yeah, I went for the
annoying.
VIP line.
Yeah.
Like I had a friend who was a VIP.
Oh,
so
look
that
at
the
you,
day
Miss
before TI
lucky
started.
girl.
Think you're freaking cool?
She worked that
All
Crystal
right.
Maiden.
God.
She was like, Toby hugged my leg. Let me go to the front of the line.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, okay, here you go.
She
right
ran on the
this way, man.
Toby credit. I like it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Other than that, I would say, I don't know. Talk to us. Like, give us the time of day. Like, we do it, like because we want to talk to everyone. So, we want to meet people. It's kind of putting ourselves out there physically so that we can kind of grow and like make friends within the Dota scene, I guess.
So let me ask you guys this, and this is something I thought about and just came back up. Why do you guys think guys tend? Am I wrong in assuming guys tend not to cosplay in a ratio comparative to women, or
Yeah.
And why do you think that is?
I
Look
think
at
they
male
would.
characters.
But
How's Morphling or Weaver going to go?
yeah, but you've got Omni Knight and you've got Void. You could
Well,
do
and
Silencer.
Dragon Knight.
You could do Warlock.
It might be the
Dude, there's so
sewing
many
barrier
options.
as
So
well.
let me ask you this, actually, because
Yeah.
this brings up an interesting point. I will say that there's a reason that I don't cosplay, and it's because I don't ever want to be seen without my shirt off for very obvious reasons. Is there a aspect to being a cosplayer of body maintenance or even body perception that you have to work within when you start out this thing?
Not if you want to be Pudge.
That's a good point, actually.
Okay. Yes. And no. I think this kind of hits on what we were talking about earlier, where you should do it. You should just have that confidence. If you want to portray a character, you freaking go for it, and you do it whichever way you want to do it. You don't have to be a professional. You don't have to print out the awesome kick-ass 3D Rubik mask.
You don't have to look like a model.
You don't have to look like a model to be able to do
Cosplay.
it. Although, I mean, Gigi was a cutie. I will give her that. That was pretty good. But I think that like everyone can do it if they want to do it. I would love to see more cosplayers. I would love to see Valve actually take an initiative and maybe have a cosplay event at TI, something.
Yeah.
If not, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
other
say, hey
places
guys,
do
we're Friday
cosplay
at 3 p.m. We're all gonna like join up outside of the stadium, and we're just
You're
all
like,
gonna
"We're
hang out
having
and go on a
cosplay
freaking
competition."
parade. It's a
Yeah,
freaking parade, boys.
Like it or not, Valve.
And if you
Yeah.
do it right next to the secret shop line, you get all kinds of fans for free.
Yeah, there you go.
Because like Blizzard does cosplay competitions when
I've been-
they do giveaways, they have cosplayers come up and do those as well, and it's not a big thing. There's tons of downtime between games, and honestly, all of the casting studios, the Star Ladder, Beyond the Summit, a bunch of other ones, they all do interviews. They talk to them. It's a big part, and I believe that what is it? The Chinese casting people that were there actually dressed up. They had the Night Stalker wings
Nice.
and the Crystal Maiden commentating.
It's really. Oh yeah.
I mean, if we could, let's take a second while we're on the topic and talk about casters dressing up for cosplay. And we have a picture of that. Now, this is a reminder of some cosplay that happened recently.
I love this.
At the summit. And now let's talk about a few things. First, we have someone who's actually, in his own right, sort of a cosplayer. Loves the character and dressed up as him for streaming purposes. In Coddle Guy, who I think we can all agree has a pretty awesome cuddle head.
We love you, Dakota.
Absolutely. Dakota was one of my first contacts in this business, and I think that he really worked well within the, I'm going to be a guy who cosplays a really cool old man, and I respect that. Get a damn horse, Dakota, next time you show up at a tournament.
Get a damn horse.
Or a reindeer. I'll settle for a reindeer.
What's wrong with you, Dakota? What the hell?
Right,
dude?
like why isn't he riding a reindeer?
Let's Coddle without his horse.
Why isn't he
But-
riding a reindeer? Why isn't he Santa Coddle?
As we look at this
Come
photo,
on.
there's two other cosplayers here. We've got the Gurg cosplay, which I think I laughed harder at than I laughed at the Enchantress cosplay.
Definitely.
But here's an interesting thought. So, Gods did finally do the Enchantress thing. I heard. Did one of you draw the abs on him?
I did, yeah.
I
I
thought
did his
that was
makeup too.
Nice.
Yeah, I went over there that morning at like, oh my gosh, it was a rough day because I think I went to bed at like 4 or 5 a.m. and then I went over there at like 8 maybe.
Oh yeah,
So
was
I
that
didn't
the night
sleep
that
much.
we had a sing in our room until 4 a.m.
Probably. It's very possible. But
know.
yeah, I
Are
woke
we allowed
up
to
and
talk-
got over there and I was like, ugh.
That sounds like an event we're not supposed to talk about. The 4 a.m. Sing
no,
Sing
we were
experience.
just watching. We
No.
were watching anime
was
too. It was
sleep.
completely
Sleep.
innocent.
Did he have a game the next day?
Possibly could have done.
No,
No,
he was
Okay.
done playing. He was just he needed to charge his phone, and we were all just hanging out. And I fell asleep. I put on pajamas and got in bed, and he's like sitting there next to me, and I'm like, well, night.
Intriguing.
Yeah, you passed out and you started snoring.
Oh goodness.
It was so good.
So we got a little bit of a insight to the life of the
Oh,
cosplayers on
man.
travel. But
Anyways,
so back to the
yeah.
question at hand. So Gods did this cosplay because it was a stretch goal, which, I mean, honestly, when you have a stretch goal in a compendium to have someone dress up as a cosplay, in a lot of ways, that's similar to a stretch goal to dress up for a cosplay on a stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think that this sort of thing, if it shows up in compendiums in the future, cheapens cosplay or gives
Hell no.
positive promotion to it?
No, I think it's definitely
I think
positive.
it's good for
It's
it, yeah.
freaking hilarious. First off, like look at him. His legs look better than mine. That's ridiculous.
Did he shaved them, right? Because they
I thought he put leggings on. I'm
Oh.
not really sure.
They
Yeah, I
look
thought he had,
darker,
like,
so that he must have done that leggings. That's funny. Let's just assume he
Ah.
shaved it. Twitter, Reddit. He shaved his legs. Let's just say it.
All right, we'll say that. We'll go with that.
Make God's
Uh,
angry.
I think it definitely gives some exposure to that scene. Like I thought it was awesome. I love the I love the Coddle Guy one. I love the Gurg one. Like I saw that. We were at the bar and I like remember it distinctly. I laughed my freaking ass off. I was so done. I had like a Red Bull and vodka at that point and I was like, this is great. This is the best experience I've ever had in my life. Like how does this get better? I'm hanging out with a bunch of nerds at a bar watching Dota and then this comes on
And
I
baby
drew
Gurg
those
walks in.
beautiful abs and that baby Gurg though. I would pinch those little baby Gurg cheeks.
Now, I just wanna know, because you guys were there helping him put it together. Why did Gods chose to go down the cosplay avenue of an enchantress who had been partying all night and gotten really trashed, and then showed up on a couch instead of a enchantress who just woke up and got ready to face the day?
Didn't he have this costume before? I feel like he wore it
He did.
before for something, but he
No,
had
it was-
someone send it to him, so it got a little roughed up.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
sense.
was a friend of Ziori's who was a League cosplayer, made it for them and like did the wig and everything. So
Oh, wow.
when you don't make it yourself, you may not be the best at putting it on so that it
Yeah.
turns out exactly how it's originally envisioned.
I don't know how he kept that wig on. That blows my freaking mind. Because if you saw that thing in person,
Right.
like that was like 6 times the size of
Yeah.
that poor guy's head.
A monster.
And I was like, I was rooming with Kat, and she was going to the department or some store earlier that morning, and I was like, dude, you have to get me some freaking bobby pins because this poor guy, his head, like everything's gonna fall off. Everything is just, it's done. He is gonna have some issues. She didn't end up getting them, but I felt really bad for him because it was huge. I don't know if I could wear a wig that big. That was crazy.
But as far as the stretch goal bit, I mean, in this case, it was a bet that, you know, they were finally forcing gods to, you know, pay up on. Yeah. But I think we would love it. Like, if there was a stretch goal for the compendium that was like cosplay contest, I mean, we'd all go crazy for that because that's exactly what we want. That's right. So adding as a stretch goal is recognizing it as part of the community. It's a huge step for cosplay. I mean, even if it's something silly, or even better if it's something silly, actually. I mean, we're gonna love that because that's making it more of a thing. I don't really expect Valve to take initiative on that, but it would be nice. It would be cool if we could get a little more support from everybody except for the Valve office.
Well, let's go on the record though and say this, that we all know, and there was even a discussion last night in the big podcast with Charlie and Conrad and Gerg and the guys, that Valve's not going to take responsibility for this stuff. Correct. Valve is going to put on a good show, and we're going to continue to be a community-run organization. What that doesn't mean is that we can't have a meetup at TI, that we can't schedule an evening after we get the tournament orders to do a cosplay showcase and do our own contest. So that's something that I would encourage you guys as what I want to say, paragons in the Dota cosplay community, and those of you who are viewing and who are fans of this sort of thing, to promote, to get out there and start marketing on Twitter, to start saying, hey, can we put on our own cosplay contest? Let's find a damn coffee shop down the road and put up a G2A sign in the background and have a $100 prize so that people come out and have some fun.
That's definitely something we've talked about.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot, like, ooh,
and I think we're planning on and trying to reach out and
trying to get something together for sure.
Especially with a
especially for TI.
Event.
Holy, that's chaotic. That's gonna be a good time.
You know, it'd be a lot of fun and probably terrible for whoever decides to do it. Is every once in a while I compete in something called the 24-hour film contest, or we do a all-night performance show. And what we do is we get together and we have 24 hours to cast, write, film, produce, edit, and put on a short film. And I think that's a lot of fun. What if you consider doing a 6-day start? You can't start the cosplay till you arrive at TI, and who can come up with the best one by the end of it?
Oh my god. That would be really fun, yeah. I would like that. I mean, I would still probably have my, like, 3 that I'm planning on making, but I would definitely like to do something like that. We could get together somewhere and all of us work on it together, and we could shoot a video, some kind of like content during as well. That's kind of my like big thing going into this TI, is trying to bring more exposure to cosplayers in general. So I think that's a really good idea. We'll have to talk about that later, guys.
I think a cosplay jam would be pretty sweet.
I would also love some mock battles, like playing, you know, like LARPing Dota. I mean, we're already all dressed up.
Dude, we were in, were you, okay, we had this kind of thing last year with, I can't remember the studio, but they had like myself and Asia Amor and like a ton of, I think Rafi might have been in that. Nick was in it.
I'm sure Nick was.
Nick was in it. Yeah, a few of us were in that last year, and it was really cool. But it wasn't really as like publicized as I think it could have been a little bigger. It could have had a little bit more of a like a backdrop to it, or like I don't know. It could have been a little better, but it was fun. We should definitely do that again.
Well, if you decide to go for it, let me know. We'll promote it on the show. We'll tweet it out. We'll get the word out there, because it sounds like an interesting part of the community that adds to it. And I've been saying since the day we started this show, the thing that Dota needs, the thing that everything has, is people who get invested in the community. And to me, cosplayers are literally the same as when my wife goes to a football game, or so her and I are big Indianapolis Colts fans. We'll put it on the board there. And I like to go, and I like to wear my Colts jersey. And when she goes, she wears crazy blue hair, paint on her face, rings the cowbells, dresses up, and goes nutso. And to me, I just equate that to the same idea as a cosplayer going to a Dota 2 competition. You guys are essentially super fans who are bringing atmosphere and excitement to an event that honestly can be effing boring sometimes.
I think we talked about it a little bit last night, at least in chat. Nikki, Sajadine, and I were talking about how Dota doesn't really like cater to the casual crowd nearly as much. People take it extremely seriously. But I would love to see that casual crowd and that like affinity for casuals kind of develop, because it's not necessarily the way that you play, but the like time that you invest in the community, just like you said, like a community head, like community people that are interested in just growing the game because they freaking love it, not because they can go like 30 and 0 with, you know, like a shadow demon.
Right. Well, and people were actually at the beginning of the stream and in other places saying, ask the MMR, and I'm a big advocate of you can go fuck yourself regarding MMR, and I know it's a family show, and I shouldn't say that, but at the end of the day, a number is a number, and yes, some people are amazing, but there's community members, and that's what makes this game great, and what has expanded it past something that I install on my computer and play when I'm bored to something that I really look forward to, even if I'm getting absolutely trashed and Ashnichrist happens to be in the game with me, hearing just how I think you're the only person who's ever heard me truly go crazy balls flaming, by the way.
You're so hilarious though, dude. We need to play sometime for sure, because oh my god, that was so good.
So for those of you guys who don't know, the first time that I met Ashni was we ended up in a queue together. We played a game, and I don't know if it was one of your viewers or someone said something in the game, and I lost my shit. No joke. PPD would have like had his jaw drop with the amount of salt that I was pouring. So
PPD salt.
It was crazy PPD salt. So you know,
God, it was so good. I wish I could remember what you said specifically, but I'm pretty sure we actually ended up getting in queue together whenever you were streaming, and like you had your son like right next to you the whole time, and I was just like,
I had my kid, and I think that was the morning. That morning I was supposed to interview Shivar, and the OBS broke, and it was really embarrassing, and there's just a whole series of unfortunate events. But the episode's not about me just because my name's on it. It's about you guys, and I said we were going to wrap it up 20 minutes ago, so we're going to wrap it up legitimately this time. But what I want you to do is I want you to take a second, and I want you to address not only your fans, but potential fans of, say, your streams, of your cosplays, of this YouTube channel you're going to create, and maybe even of this cosplay jam you're going to do at TI. And just speak to the fans directly. It's a chance to maybe expand some of that base that you have. We'll start out with Ashni, because she's been talking a lot, and then we'll work our way down through talking amounts.
I'm just really, I don't know, I have a lot to say on the subject. It's not very often that I get to talk about, you know, my nerdiness. So, let's see. To potential cosplay Dota and my stream fans, I would say Dota is a freaking awesome game. You're gonna have a lot of fun. It has the potential to make you a little racist sometimes. You're probably gonna flame. You're gonna get a little salty. But in the end, it's gonna be a good time, and you're gonna meet a lot of awesome people. It's probably one of the coolest groups that it's definitely the coolest group of people I've ever been a part of in my entire life. It's awesome. Everybody's really cool. The cosplayers are gorgeous. Like, look at that LC, that Lena, that Wind Ranger.
Please. Look at yourself.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Get out of here. Yeah, everyone's really cool. Like, I have nothing more to say other than I love everybody that's in the scene.
All right.
The trolls sometimes. Sometimes
the trolls make me laugh.
I think
it's an unfortunate
it can be hilarious. It can be hilarious.
Reinessa, what do you want to say to your potential or your given fans?
Well, I do have a promised shout out. So I have a shout out to my senpai, so 1437, who's been carrying my party MMR up for the past couple weeks.
Yeah,
so.
I saw that.
Wait, what's a senpai?
It's 1437. It's Steven.
No, but what's it mean? What's a senpai?
It's like
Is that like a
guy.
It's honorific.
Yeah.
Like a blueberry
Yeah.
pie?
Japanese.
Yeah.
Like
It's
my sir. It's like my sugar daddy.
Monsieur.
My
So
sir.
it's like
Don't
a
phrase it that way.
it's like a Japanese meat pie. I'm confused. Senpai.
It's a sure. We'll go with that.
Okay.
Meat pie Theban. Thank you so much for helping her.
All right. So shout out to Theban.
Aside from that, and of course, shout out to Zyori for kind of
Oh yeah, Andrew.
starting all of this. I mean, he gets everything for that. I just want to say
Andrew,
thanks
yes.
to a community that gets called toxic a lot. That is actually amazing. Going to TI, going to the summit, my regular stream with my regular viewers, the new people I get to meet, hanging out with Ash and Fwosh and Kat.
Mwah.
All of that, I mean, is amazing, and I can't imagine having experiences like this any other way. I mean, when you say like Dota is love, Dota is life, I mean, you always laugh, but it really is starting to turn out that way. It's just such an amazing experience, and everyone is so wonderful. Even the trolls, even the people who like to use the internet anonymity to be less than pleasant. I don't know. It's a beautiful, amazing thing, and I mean, I absolutely love it, and I never ever want to stop, and I can't wait to meet everybody that I haven't met yet, and to hang out with all of these other people who feel the same way that I do.
Can I give some shout outs real quick before everyone flames me later?
You know why not? Because Fwoshy's been
Oh
cut
my
off all
God.
night anyway.
Oh no.
What?
Oh
No.
I'm just kidding. I was giving you a hard time. Yes, do
Okay,
your
all
shout
right.
outs.
no. All right, here we go. Okay, Dixie for being just freaking awesome and like there for me all the time and being a really good flamer and getting into fights with Matt all the time on my stream. And Zyori, of course, for initiating the whole like cosplay thing. And Jenny. Even though we just met at the summit, she was really awesome. Cartcoals, Fridge, we've been playing a lot of Cards Against Humanity together. It's been a really good time. Sour, who has been there since like the beginning of freaking time. Okay, all right, that's it. Sorry, Fwosh.
What? No.
Oh, Reckless. Hey, Reckless. Oh God, there's too many.
All right.
Go.
Fwosh,
Go.
address those who may or are fans.
All right. Let's see. Well, everyone can play Dota. Everyone can cosplay. You know, do whatever your heart desires. But yeah. Thanks for the existing support for all my art and parodies, stream, everything. It's been a lot of fun just creating content over the past year for Dota 2. And you guys make it awesome. And shout outs to BTS for having us over for the summit. That was a fantastic experience. Zyori, LD, you guys were just phenomenal. Coddle Guy, you guys rock. And shout outs to the Fwosh stack, Emu, Yetis.
The Fwosh
You guys
stack.
are awesome.
The one and only.
Awesome.
Fwosh stack.
Awesome. So that's about what we got for the show for you guys today. I do want to point out there were no shout outs to Toffees, so thanks for that, guys.
That's a given.
Wow, shout out to yourself. You should shout out yourself.
Maybe a little
At
pride.
the end, that's how you should sign off. Every
I wore
time.
my fancy tie today. That's my
Yeah.
fancy tie.
This is good.
It's kind of fun to put the suits back on. I used to be in a lot of big sales positions, and now I don't wear it anymore. So
You
this is
gotta impress
entertaining.
Loda, so.
That said, guys, we appreciate you being here. I got a retweet from Loda. Anyway, we appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with us. My name is Toffees. You can find me at Toffees_Dota2. You can find our cosplayers at Fwoshy, FWOSHY, at Reinessa Dota, REINESSA Dota, and at Ashnichrist, ASHNI Christ, like the child. If you want to follow them on Twitter, I encourage you to
Every
do
time.
so. We'll write it over in Twitch chat as well. But for those of you listening on the podcast, etc., make sure you check them out. You can find them on my Twitter if you already follow me. If you like the show, guys, I've got to do this because it's how we pay the bills. Go to patreon.com/Toffees. Twitch won't give me a partnership for a sub button, so we can keep my spending funded. But it does take a lot of time and effort to run this bad boy. boy. So if you want to help support it, even if it's $1 or kind words, every little bit counts. Every little bit means the world to us. And we just got the brand new coffee mugs in, so you can get yourself a coffee with Toffees coffee mug and show everyone at your office place, school, or just in your own home that you're the coolest MFer alive with this coffee cup. So you should get that and do so. It's been wonderful having you all here. It's been wonderful having all of you listeners and viewers. Any final words before I lock it down? You get one sentence if you want it. Good one. Reinessa?
Thank you for having us.
Thank
you to anyone who's ever given us any appreciation for what we do for the community.
Jesus.
Love you
so
all.
Much thank.
All right.
So much much wow.
That's a good way to log it off, guys. Thank you for joining me. Maybe come back later. We might do a classy Toffees stream tonight. I don't know. I'm feeling scotchy, so
I'm in.
we could
I'm
have
in. Let's
right.
stack.
Let's do some stacks, some classy stack. I put a talk in my classy voice, but it'll be a lot of fun. So thanks for joining us, guys. Have a wonderful night. Play more Dota, and as always, Toffees out.